Hello children, today I will be explaining a very important topic to you, and that is respiration. Now you all have studied about respiration from your junior classes, and I am sure you have a fair idea what exactly is respiration. Now respiration is a process you all know in which oxygen is taken in and carbon dioxide is given out, but that's not the complete picture you have. What I spoke just now is simply breathing. Breathing is the first step of respiration, you could say, which involves a physical exchange of gases, that is taking in of O2 and giving out of CO2. Complete process includes what happens after that breathing, what happens to the oxygen which you have inhaled or taken in. Now this oxygen is used to bring about oxidation or burning of food to release energy along with carbon dioxide and water vapor. So let's put all of this together, and I've written the definition here. You'll see respiration is a catabolic process which involves taking in of oxygen followed by oxidation of food. A catabolic process. What does catabolic mean? It means breakdown process. So there are two kinds of processes, anabolic and catabolic. Anabolic means building up process and catabolic means breakdown process. So can you think of a building up process where something is synthesized or made? Of course. Think about it. It's what? Photosynthesis. In photosynthesis, what is being synthesized? Glucose. And a catabolic process is what? Respiration. Catabolic means breakdown process. So anabolism, building up, catabolism, breakdown, the two kinds of metabolic processes. So let's read the definition again. A catabolic process which involves taking in of oxygen followed by oxidation of food, that is burning of food, and release of carbon dioxide and energy. I have added, we need to add one more thing here, and what is that? Carbon dioxide, water vapor and energy. So three products are there of respiration: carbon dioxide, water vapor and energy. Now broadly, respiration can be classified into two types, as I have written here: aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic means in presence of oxygen. Now this raises a question in your mind, that is there some respiration which occurs in absence of oxygen also? So yes, there is anaerobic respiration which occurs only in few organisms, mainly in some plants and even in our body temporarily. It occurs in the absence of oxygen. So first let's talk about aerobic respiration. So normally when I say the word respiration, the organisms are respiring, it is understood that we are discussing, or I am talking about which respiration? Aerobic. That is the one which requires oxygen. After all, what is the definition of respiration? Taking in of oxygen, and aerobic respiration requires oxygen. So mostly respiration is aerobic, and a well balanced equation for respiration or for aerobic respiration is the same. Let's see what is this equation. C6H12O6. Now what is C6H12O6? It's the chemical formula for glucose. Now this glucose is oxidized. We spoke about the food getting oxidized. Which is this food here? Glucose. This glucose is getting oxidized in the presence of oxygen and forming carbon dioxide, releasing water vapor and energy. Now for energy, I have written what here? 38 ATP. Now what is ATP? The full form of ATP is adenosine triphosphate. Now ATP is called the energy currency of the cell. Now you all know that our currency is the Indian rupee, or currency of USA is the American dollar. Same way, cell also has its currency, its energy in the form of currency, and that currency is what? It is called ATP. So cell stores its energy in the form of ATP, just like you save it in a bank and you take it out from the bank, or you use a credit or a debit card and pay it. Same way, cell stores it in the form of ATP and spends it whenever, wherever it is required. So a large amount of energy, which is 38 ATP, along with heat energy, is released during aerobic respiration. Now, in contrast to the aerobic respiration, if you take a look at the anaerobic respiration, you would find only one reactant here. And what is that reactant? It's only glucose. Only glucose. No oxygen can be seen here, unlike aerobic respiration. Why? Because it occurs in the absence of oxygen. Now, what are the end products? They are different too. Carbon dioxide was formed here and it is formed here as well. But what is the new thing we find here? We find C2H5OH, and this is called ethyl alcohol. Ethyl alcohol is the new product which is being formed only in anaerobic respiration, and that too in plants. We are talking about respiration in plants today. So in plants, a new product is formed that is called ethyl alcohol. Plus you will find very little energy is being released here, that is 2 ATP. If you compare the two, we have 38 ATP released in aerobic respiration and we have only 2 ATP released in anaerobic respiration. So energy wise the two vary. And what is the reason for less evolution of energy? Because glucose is incompletely broken down in anaerobic respiration. So we can say here complete breakdown or complete oxidation of glucose occurs, and here incomplete breakdown or incomplete oxidation of glucose occurs. This occurs in the presence of oxygen, as you can see, and this occurs in the absence of oxygen. Here the end products formed are carbon dioxide and water vapor, the main end products formed, whereas here the end products formed are ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide. So first variation was requires oxygen, does not require oxygen. Second was releases more energy, releases less energy. When you write more in bracket, you need to write 38 ATP. Releases less energy, you write 2 ATP. End products formed are carbon dioxide and water vapor. End products formed are ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide. You need to mention in plants, because we are talking of respiration in plants today. But for your information, I would tell you that in animals, instead of both of these products, what is formed? A new substance is formed, and that is called lactic acid, along with 2 ATP energy. Where does this occur? In animals. So we will be talking about respiration in animals soon. So then we will discuss about lactic acid, but you should know that anaerobic respiration in plants and in animals has different products. So I am sure now differences between the two are clear to you, that here complete oxidation of food is occurring and here incomplete, and so more energy 38 ATP and here less energy is released. This occurs in the presence of oxygen and this occurs in the absence of oxygen. So you have to learn how to write these equations, and it is very important to write that enzymes are getting involved here. It occurs in the presence of enzymes. And let me tell you, this is not a single step process like it appears. It occurs in several steps. So this is a complete equation, overall equation, balanced equation, but this is not occurring in a single step. It involves several steps, and every step is catalyzed by enzymes. Now this anaerobic respiration is carried out by certain bacteria and by yeast. Yeast brings about a very important process which is called fermentation. Fermentation is nothing but a kind of anaerobic respiration, and that makes yeast a baker's and a brewer's friend. You all know in a bakery, your cakes and all are baked there, whereas in a brewery alcohol is brewed. So what are the two end products here? Ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide. So alcohol finds use in a brewery for making alcoholic drinks, and carbon dioxide finds use in a bakery for raising the pizza dough or for raising the bread dough or the cake dough. Carbon dioxide makes it porous, makes lot of air spaces. So this is also a balanced equation for which process? For fermentation. So if you are asked to write a balanced equation for fermentation, equation will be same. The only thing is that for fermentation, you will write the name of a specific enzyme here, and that is zymase. Fermentation is mainly catalyzed by enzyme zymase. So if you are asked to write equation for respiration or aerobic respiration, this will be the equation you will write. And if you have to write the definition of anaerobic respiration or fermentation, this equation will be written for both of them. I hope the two types of respiration are clear to you. Now let's compare respiration with combustion. Combustion is what? Burning. Now there is a lot of similarity between the two. In both carbon dioxide and water vapor are released, and in both energy is also released, although in burning energy is released mainly in the form of heat and light, but both involve release of carbon dioxide and water vapor along with release of energy. But there is a big difference between the two. We all know combustion occurs or burning occurs at a very high temperature, and that temperature is called ignition temperature, whereas respiration occurs at a normal body temperature of the organism. The energy released in respiration is heat energy along with some chemical energy which is stored in the form of ATP, but burning releases large amount of heat energy and light energy as well. Respiration is catalyzed by enzymes. It's a several step process, and every step is catalyzed by enzymes, whereas in burning no biological involvement is there. It does not require a catalyst, plus it's a single step process. So you can compare combustion or burning with respiration like this. So what are the similarities and what are the differences you need to know. Moving ahead, we will discuss that how respiration occurs in several steps. Like I told you, it's not a single step process, it involves several steps. Now details of all the steps are not in your syllabus right now, but at your stage you need to know about two things. One is glycolysis and second is Krebs cycle. What exactly are these? Now you know that the ultimate respiratory substrate is what? Glucose. Respiration requires glucose, whether it is aerobic or whether it is anaerobic, it requires glucose. So if you are asked what is the ultimate respiratory substrate, it is what? Glucose. This glucose is converted by a series of steps, again the intermediate steps have not been shown, to form a product called pyruvate. So conversion of glucose to pyruvate, or what we call as pyruvic acid, is called what? Glycolysis. So this is the first step of respiration. If somebody asks you what is glycolysis, glycolysis is a linear pathway. Linear means one by one, step by step, one underneath the other. So it's a linear pathway in which glucose is converted into pyruvate or pyruvic acid. It is the first step of respiration. It occurs in the cytoplasm. Take a note of it. It occurs where? In the cytoplasm. This is the site, S-I-T-E. If you are asked the site of glycolysis, it occurs in the cytoplasm of the cell. And it does not require oxygen. That means the process itself is anaerobic in nature. It does not require oxygen. This step is common in both aerobic and in anaerobic respiration. Which step is that? Glycolysis. Let me repeat. The first step of respiration, which occurs in the cytoplasm of the cell and does not require oxygen and is a linear pathway in which glucose is converted to pyruvate or pyruvic acid, is called glycolysis. So what do you know about glycolysis? 1, it's a linear pathway. 2, it occurs in the cytoplasm. 3, it's anaerobic in nature, does not require oxygen. Okay. And 4th, it forms the product pyruvate. Now the cell has to decide that whether it's going to respire aerobically or anaerobically, depending upon the presence or absence of oxygen. Some organisms have ability to do both. Even we, our muscle cells can respire anaerobically in some conditions. We will talk about that later. Now what happens if oxygen is available? Then this pyruvate would enter into mitochondria of the cell. It would enter into the mitochondria, and undergo a cyclic pathway. What is that cyclic pathway called? Krebs cycle. So pyruvate would enter into mitochondria only when oxygen is present, mitochondria of the cell. You know mitochondria is responsible for cellular respiration. So here cellular respiration part 2 is occurring. What will be released? Carbon dioxide, water vapor and energy. Some energy is released here as well. So overall if you look at this equation, carbon dioxide, water vapor and energy. So we are talking of which respiration here? Aerobic respiration. But the first step of aerobic respiration does not require oxygen. And which is that step? Glycolysis. Glycolysis is a common pathway for aerobic and anaerobic respiration. This is the fifth thing I am telling you about glycolysis. It's a linear pathway, occurs in the cytoplasm, does not require oxygen, helps to convert glucose to pyruvate. And what is the fifth thing I told you just now? It is common to both aerobic and anaerobic respiration. That means whether the cell is respiring aerobically or anaerobically, glycolysis has to occur. It will occur. Now, if respiration is aerobic, we have the second step and that is called Krebs cycle. Now, few things about Krebs cycle. Let's compare it. If glycolysis was a linear pathway, Krebs cycle is what? A cyclic pathway. As you can see, it's a cycle. A cycle has no beginning and ending point. It just goes on continuously. So this is a cyclic pathway. Now here I have mentioned what is the site of glycolysis? Cytoplasm. But if you check here, what is the site of Krebs cycle? Mitochondria. So point 2, first Krebs cycle is a cyclic pathway. Point 2, it occurs in the mitochondria, unlike glycolysis which was occurring in the cytoplasm. Then what is being formed here? Here what was being formed? Pyruvate. What is being formed in Krebs cycle? Carbon dioxide, water vapor and energy. So end products are also different, site is also different, kind of pathway is also different. Okay. This requires oxygen and this does not require oxygen. So now you know 4 things about Krebs cycle and you can compare the two. We had just done the differences between aerobic and anaerobic. Now let's do differences between glycolysis and Krebs cycle. Glycolysis is a linear pathway and Krebs cycle is a cyclic pathway. Glycolysis does not require oxygen and Krebs cycle requires oxygen. Glycolysis occurs in the cytoplasm and Krebs cycle occurs in the mitochondria. I hope all of you are noting it down. And last point, in glycolysis, glucose is converted into pyruvate, whereas in Krebs cycle, pyruvate undergoes a series of complex reactions in the mitochondria to form carbon dioxide, water vapor and energy. So these are the differences between glycolysis and Krebs cycle. We have also talked about comparison of respiration and combustion. So you need to note down the differences between all these processes. Now let's compare respiration to another closely related process and that is what? Photosynthesis. When we started our discussion today, I told you respiration is a catabolic process and photosynthesis is what? An anabolic process. Here glucose is being broken down and there glucose is being produced. Now you have studied about photosynthesis also in your middle school. If you take a good look at this equation of respiration and try to recollect the equation for photosynthesis, you will find something very interesting. Here the raw materials are glucose and oxygen, whereas if you recollect in photosynthesis, what are the end products? What is produced in photosynthesis? Glucose and oxygen. Here the end products are carbon dioxide and water vapor, and if you can recollect in photosynthesis, what are the raw materials? It requires carbon dioxide and water in presence of chlorophyll and sunlight. So isn't it completely contrasting? So you are asked a question, why is respiration called a complete contrast to photosynthesis? So first point would be respiration is a catabolic process, whereas photosynthesis is an anabolic process, that is build up process. So glucose is broken down here and in photosynthesis glucose is synthesized. Secondly, glucose and oxygen are the raw materials for photosynthesis, but they are the are the raw materials for respiration, but they are the end products of photosynthesis. Likewise, carbon dioxide and water are the end products of respiration, but they are the raw materials for photosynthesis. To simplify, you may just mention that carbon dioxide is released during respiration, whereas carbon dioxide is taken up during photosynthesis. Oxygen is taken up during respiration, whereas oxygen is released during photosynthesis. So you can reduce the points and write differences. Then photosynthesis occurs only in chlorophyllous cells, that is chlorophyll containing cells, whereas respiration can occur in all living cells, Photosynthesis occurs only during daytime when sunlight is there, when stomata are open, but respiration occurs 24/7 all the time. So there is a very common misconception which most of you have. If somebody asks you, do plants respire in day or at night? So immediately you come with an answer that plants do photosynthesis in day and they do respiration at night. So this concept is totally wrong. How can plants stop respiring? How can anybody stop respiring? If anyone would stop respiring, what would happen? Death would occur. So it's not that you have some work just now and you say, I'll respire after some time. That is not possible. So no, undoubtedly plants are very busy doing photosynthesis in daytime, but at the same time they cannot stop respiring. But it's just that in daytime rate of photosynthesis is so high that respiration goes unnoticed there. Respiration is occurring, plant is releasing carbon dioxide, but at the same time the plant is taking up that CO2 during photosynthesis as a raw material. So net release of which gas is there? Oxygen gas. So we don't come to know. So when do plants respire? All the time. And when do they do photosynthesis? Only during daytime. So I know it's a lot for you to assimilate in today's lecture, but try going through the text in your book and try following what I've explained today. You may pause and watch the video and learn the comparison of all the processes: respiration and combustion, aerobic and anaerobic respiration, glycolysis and Krebs cycle, and respiration and photosynthesis. So I'll come back to you with the experiments based on respiration. Till then, take care.